Hi there, welcome to Aging Well in Virginia. I'm Jane Foy. Since 2024, Amy Laufer has been serving folks in Richmond from the 55th District, House District, from Albemarle, Louisa, Fluvanna, and Nelson counties and portions thereof. She's with us today to talk about what's going on in Richmond, specifically for seniors. Amy, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, Jane.
All right, so what I want to start with is you are the vice chair, I understand, of the Commission on Disabilities or Disability Commission.
Correct.
That I'm sure includes senior citizens with disabilities. But what happens in that commission on your committee? What are you working on? Just tell us what's going on.
Sure. So I will say I was on the commission for 4 years before I was elected. I was nominated by Senator Deeds. So I was a citizen member of the Disability Commission. And then when I was elected, I became the chair of the Disability Commission the past 2 years, this year, and now I am in vice chair. So the Disability Commission focuses on physical disability, hearing, as well as sight. And recently, within the past, I'd say 5 years, we've really had a focus on as well autism and other developmental disabilities. So we meet outside of session. So as a delegate, we have 2 to 2.5 months of in-person session in Richmond, but all of the commissions meet outside of the session, because the goal of the commissions are to come up with policies and laws that we can enact to support each of the commission work. So this year we have our new kind of group happening. We have a lot about transition from high school into, secondary or career. So we're talking a lot about that. We've had a lot of discussion about transportation, which I think absolutely does impact seniors with low mobility, and trying to come up with different ideas for that. We also had a big initiative for the autism community, which will eventually be expanded to individuals with any type of neurological disorder. So the program is called the Blue Envelope. And this is a program to help individuals that have communication needs, and when they're communicating with police department or law enforcement. So this is if you have a driver's license and you happen to be stopped by a police officer and you have a communication disability, that you can hand them the envelope that shows kind of what are the things that are typical for you if you're going to be responding to law enforcement. It's really an effort to ensure that not only the individual is safe, but also that the police department or the law enforcement officer has a good interaction with you. So those have been some of our initiatives recently.
Now, tell me about the transportation, and I'll tell you why I ask this. John keeps adding, and that's John here in our Central Virginia area. John keeps adding programs and adding services. As I understand it, down in Tidewater, there's a very good
Yes.
transportation system for that area, especially for seniors. So when you say transportation, are you looking at expanding jaunt type services in the rest of the state, or adding services, or what are you working on?
So we had a different prongs of each of this issue. One was obviously trying to expand. And part of what we were suggesting with the expansion of a John type program is that there is kind of a standard operating agreement with all of the localities. There's a lot of logistics and a lot of work that has to go in behind the scene before you even get to a bus or a car. So part of what we're trying to do is, as the state, can offer up to localities kind of best practices so that they can reach these agreements faster. The other part of what we were trying to do is Modicare or Motive Care. They are, a contractor that actually drives folks for their doctor appointments through Medicaid and Medicare. And part of what we're trying to ensure there is that people are having a good experience, that the transportation is showing up on time and is courteous. So we had a survey implemented for the riders to ensure that everything's timely. But within that service, part of what I would like us to see is that when you are scheduling your doctor appointment, you're actually scheduling mode of care at the same time, so that there doesn't have to be this, you made the doctor appointment and now you have to go over and make an appointment with mode of care. Kind of like do it in tandem, which again is a lot of the backdoor things of these, a lot of technical things that have to happen with that. So that's something we're still talking about. And the other, I think, idea is just increasing access all the way around. We see that there's so many different modes of transportation now, especially with some of the private drivers like Uber and Lyft. I'm not mentioning those as something, but there's, new ways to get around, like the microcat through Albemarle, which is like you could schedule that, and they have pickup zones. So trying to get more creative without utilizing such a big, bus, because we could do these things probably more efficiently and effectively without so much
Right,
infrastructure.
exactly. Um, Tell me about your work with people with dementia.
Sure. So, not specific to the Disability Commission, but most of the issues that we're probably going to talk about are really through the General Assembly. And many of the things that have been implemented this year have gone through the budget. So I'm talking to you after the budget was approved. And we're talking after July 1st, which is when the first day of all the new laws goes into enactment.
Right, exactly.
So this year we had money in the budget to actually provide training for care facilitators or healthcare professionals on dementia specific kind of training, how to work with folks. I'm really excited to see us moving in this direction. We know that this has been, not only with law enforcement, but individuals with dementia have different ways that they communicate, and it can be perceived differently in the public. So trying to help people understand how to interact with them, and de-escalate situations. I think it's an important first step.
I think it's very important that you target home health professionals, um, because many times a dementia patient is going to need some hours a day
Right.
being cared for if the loved one, the spouse, or the adult children can't take care of that. And there comes a time when they're going to need some, and so there are a lot of organizations out there that are just companion,
Yes,
you know.
right.
But if those companions had that training for dementia specific, I think it would come up, would go a long way toward adding to the benefit for dementia patients. And as we know, that's becoming,
Yeah.
more and more prevalent, especially among seniors.
Yeah, a larger population. I want to mention through the Disability Commission, something that was brought to our attention is the home health care providers with individuals that are working with disabled. We have the waiver program. Many folks that have a developmental disability or those type of needs end up on a waiver program, and then the family can hire service providers. And one of the things that we're noticing is there is no standard for a care provider. So part of the initiative I think we're going to be pursuing is trying to help find curriculum and training and professional development for people that are offering these care provider services, because I think, you know, many times we don't think of this, as a profession, and it's really important to realize that it is caring for individuals, and having some form of standard could really elevate not only the service that's being provided, but also create a professionalism that I think they deserve.
I really like the idea that you're pursuing that. There are companies and agencies out there that have people who are companions, take people to their doctor's office, go into their home and read their email, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it would be wonderful if they could offer, and a lot of these are part-time jobs, which, by the way, are good jobs for seniors.
Yes.
I mean, if you're healthy and you can still drive, it's a senior on senior kind of thing. But to be able to have some training and understand a little bit more about a disability, whether it's dementia or Parkinson's, I think a lot of people working in that care community, senior management community, would sign up like that.
I know, actually. So most of the private agencies have their own training. And so it's like you can't really move to different agencies if you don't have the right training. So part of the idea is that to standardize the training and curriculum, they would be more easily able to be moving around. So yeah, and there will be, a baseline of information that everybody has. I think I'm excited about it.
Now, the other thing we were discussing a little bit earlier is healthcare
Yes.
and healthcare programs and paying for it. And
Right. So what we know on the federal level with HR1 is part of what the attempt of the federal government is to kind of look at the population that was expanded with Medicaid expansion. And, you know, honestly, those premiums may go up. And then we also know because of that, that our state programs are being more subscribed to. And because the HR1 funding will be, becoming less and less, people's premiums are going to go up. So in this budget, we put in I think it's $200 million to support folks that are either on the state insurance plans or if they are on one of the expanded Medicaid programs. And if their premiums have gone up and they need help, they can apply for those grants and money to help them. So I'm really excited about that because that's an issue that I've been hearing a lot about.
and how would somebody um, find out about that? I mean, is that going to be through municipalities or cities or county social services programs?
Correct. Yeah, that's the assumption, just as all the other programs are. So just like if you're applying for help with your electric bill or heat, those are the programs that are supported through the Department of Social Services.
And so, and what about legal issues?
Yeah, so I love that. Thank you. So I used to be on the advisory board for Albemarle County Department of Social Services, and a big issue. Actually, there's a lot of things that are offered through all of the social services that pertain to individuals that are senior citizens, and I hope everybody takes advantage of looking into what are offered. But one of the things that kept coming up was, possible people being taken advantage of either by service providers, family members, and it's a really tough thing to deal with. And in the budget of the state, we just put in $200,000 for supporting a senior legal hotline or helpline. I think the website will be coming soon, and the phone number will be coming soon. But I'm really excited that we're offering kind of a third party to come in and possibly help folks. I think it's really hard to have these kind of discussions with especially family members if things don't feel right to you in terms of how your money is being spent or what's happening with, your estate. Having a phone number or a website to go to get help, I think it's great. I think it's something we heard about a lot when I was on the advisory committee.
So how would it work? Like, would you have your own legal counsel or
I think they will
an advocate of some kind?
they will be providing, opinions, or they could give you resources of where you might be able to further, get legal help. But it's kind of like the first line. Like we instituted the 411, which was if you're having some kind of issue, you could call in and find out where you could get resources for mental health. It'll be something similar to that, just so that they can have resources, because it can be really overwhelming. Like, who do you call? Do you call straight up a lawyer or, you know, it's going to be someone that can provide resources locally for you. So I'm excited about that, and I think it's really a critical need.
And that's coming soon.
Yes. Yeah, it was in the budget, just passed on Monday. So, yeah.
Oh, so it'll be up and running.
Yeah.
Now that's the other thing that we need to know. All of these programs that you're talking about, how do folks access the services they think they might need that the state might provide?
Well, I would first start with the social services department of your locality. There are so many resources there, and there's a ton of drop down menus. There's also a bunch of phone numbers. I'll just mention that I door knock a lot, and I can tell you I have helped many, at least a dozen people find the kind of resources they need through their own social services department. I think a lot of people don't realize how many things there are available. Out in Louisa, there's a woman that was caring for her husband who had a severe disability, and he was already getting Medicare. And I said, you can call social services, and they have programs that people will come in and help you so that you can take some time off. And it happened. Actually, I can say that I've done that in almost every locality where someone's struggling like that. And also if you need help with groceries, there's a lot of support that you can find in your social services department.
And so that's a good that's such good information.
Yeah.
To start local.
Right.
Start with your social services. We interviewed Dr. Valencia McGee from the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services, and she told us about it's actually a federal program, but then it goes down to the states, and it's called No Wrong Door. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've heard of that.
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of the same thing I was just talking about. Trying to have one place that you can contact and then get local resources for your particular area, your particular issue. It's the same kind of thing, so that there's a phone number, there's a website that you can go to, submit your information, and then get local resources from that. Honestly, I think this is something that is so useful, especially with technology these days. I mean, remember back in the day, you'd go to the telephone book and you're looking and looking. This is kind of like that service.
Right, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. We have learned a lot. We do want people to know that you are very much available
Yeah.
to
Oh, yes.
to contact you.
Yeah, sure.
What before we wrap it up there, I want to know, you had a pretty successful last couple of years,
Thank you.
and
I'm glad
what
you
are you
think so.
what are you looking forward to? In the next couple of years, or the next election. I mean, what would you like to see? What would you like to accomplish in Richmond?
Yeah, I've actually started really thinking about this because, you don't have infinite time, right? So my background was a teacher, middle school math and science. I have a degree in hydrogeology and did the water chemistry thing for a while. And I think our environment is so critical. And I mean, we're sitting here on a day that's over 100, and I really want to dig into those issues. Water quality. I'm on the State Water Commission. We did a PFAS bill, which is a forever chemical bill, to make sure that our biosolids don't contain them. I want to continue thinking about water quality in that way. And then also soil quality. We know that, our food can only be as good as the soil it's growing in. And there's so many new ideas actually they're old ideas, but you know how that is. So trying to get at regenerative farming. I have a lot of bills on recycling. So it's called the circular economy, which is really about making sure that we are utilizing all of the resources that we have to actually reuse things. We have so many raw materials that we end up just throwing in the landfill. And this is not a great use of anything. So I have a lot of ideas on that. And then we're also trying to work with the hemp industry on creating new venues for them, because hemp as a grain can be utilized for building supplies. It can be utilized to, stop using single-use plastics. It can actually substitute for them. So trying to create the market to make that happen. And then in terms of education, we see that the demographics is changing. We're coming to a cliff right about now. My son just turned 18, and that was the biggest generation, right? That was the cutoff of that. And now we see that we're having less and less children. And so how can we rethink our K-12 and then our higher ed? We know that we have such, industry needs of workforce for HVAC, electrical, plumbing. These are trades that are, really great paying, but very specific on skills. How can we utilize the higher education systems that we have to actually train that next workforce, and including, the technology and the AI that we know is coming on the horizon. So, um,
Sounds like you've got a few things on your mind.
yeah, just a little bit. I didn't even talk about data centers and how to regulate them. So,
We will get to that the next time.
oh, great.
But thank you for telling us what's been going on
Yeah.
and good information about how people can access services
Yeah,
that are state supported, but through your local social services
absolutely.
agencies. That's such good advice.
Actually, just to let you know, like 25% of folks in Albemarle County are accessing social services in some way. That's a huge number.
Of course it
So,
is. Yeah.
and there's just so many services available. So I really can't say that enough. And it's like that for all communities. So
All right. Thanks again. This has been fun. Always good to talk
I
to you.
know it's so fun. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. This has been Aging Well in Virginia. I'm Jane Foy.